Good morning, students. Today we are going for another topic, that is coupling schemes. Okay, coupling schemes. In the last class we discussed regarding the vector atomic quantum numbers associated with vector atomic model. Okay, quantum numbers associated with vector atomic model. In that we saw the principal quantum number, okay, and orbital quantum number L. Okay, then after we have total spin quantum number, total angular momentum quantum number, right? And when the atoms are placed in magnetic field, again some about 3 to 4 magnetic quantum numbers will be arised. Those are magnetic orbital quantum number, magnetic spin quantum number, and magnetic total angular momentum quantum number. Okay, like that we have entirely seven quantum numbers, okay, associated with vector atomic model. In that, see here the coupling schemes. In that, mainly when any magnetic field is applied, what happens? The orbital quantum numbers and spin quantum numbers will together to form the total angular momentum quantum number. Okay, before applying the magnetic field also, actually the orbital quantum numbers and the spin quantum numbers, what happens? They will interact each other and we will get what? A total angular momentum quantum number. How they will interact? They will interact in two ways. One is LS coupling and the other is JJ coupling. The LS coupling is also called as normal coupling, in which what happens? Whatever the electron in an atom, if you take an atom, the electrons in the atom, they will have orbital momentum and also spin momentum. See, if all the electrons, all orbital angular moments like L1, L2 of two different electrons, they will combinedly form L1 plus L2 and so on, is equal to a total orbital angular momentum capital L. And the spins S1, S2 of individual electrons, they form the spin angular momentums of all electrons combined to form a total spin angular momentum. After that, the sum of all the orbital angular momentums will give the total orbital angular momentum. The total orbital angular momentum plus total spin angular momentum will give the total angular momentum J. So, like this, what we can say, there is an interaction between the orbital angular momentum orbital angular momentums and the spin momentums. Okay, separate. So, in generally, we can show the diagram like this. This is total angular momentum, in which if you take L1 and L2, the orbital angular momentums, okay, the resultant L will be, we can show like this, of these two. Similarly, spin S1, S2, okay, will give the total spin angular momentum S. Now, these two will combine to give a what? Total angular momentum J. Okay, like this we can explain LS coupling. Okay, this is also called as Russell-Saunders coupling. Okay, so or normal coupling. Like this, the LS coupling will be active. What about the JJ coupling? In the JJ coupling, the interaction between orbital angular momentums or spin angular momentums are very less. The interaction between orbital angular momentum and spin momentum are very more or very large. Then the JJ coupling will be occur. The orbital angular momentums and spin angular momentums having the interaction between these two are more than the interaction between the individual orbital angular momentums. Nothing but what? Rather than L1 plus L2, interaction between two orbital angular momentums, in JJ coupling, interaction between orbital momentum and spin momentum will occur. Like that, L1 plus S1 will give the total angular momentum of that particular electron J1, and L2 plus S2 will give the total angular momentum of second electron. Like that, after getting the total angular momentums of individual electrons, the total angular momentum J will be the sum of the J1 plus J2. This is nothing but what? JJ coupling. Okay. So, like this we can explain JJ coupling. Simple. See, we know that orbital quantum number, we know that spin quantum number. The interaction of these two will give the total angular momentum. How the interaction will take place? That is in two ways. One is LS coupling and the other is JJ coupling. In LS coupling, individual orbital angular momentums of all electrons will combine to form a total orbital angular momentum. Individual spin angular momentums of all electrons will be combined to form a total spin angular momentum. Then after they will interact with each other and will get a total angular momentum J. That is LS coupling. In JJ coupling, what happens? The interaction between the orbital quantum number of one electron and the spin quantum number of the same electron will be interact each other. Okay, and they will give total angular momentum of that particular electron J1. Like that, remaining all electrons will give their individual total angular momentums, combinedly form a total angular momentum. That is what? JJ coupling. Like this, the mutual interaction between the orbital and the spin momentums will be occur. Okay, in these two ways. Right? So, this is very, very important for short answer. Either it may be asked in long answer. Okay, combining two or three short answers, it will give, maybe you may give the long answer also, right? So most probably it will be asked in short answer questions, coupling schemes. Okay, very, very important, right? We are discussing only important topics, exam point of view. Remember this. Okay, don't neglect. Next we have Zeeman effect. In this class we discuss the next topic, that is Zeeman effect. What is Zeeman effect? See, when a source of light which emits the spectral line, when a source of light which emits the spectral line, okay, right? Every source of light will emit what? Some spectral lines. Okay, thus we are taking a source which emits the single spectrum. Okay, spectral line spectrum we can call. So when this line spectrum or when this source of light is placed in a magnetic field, what happens? In the year 1896, I think, in the year 1896, Zeeman discovered that when a strong source of light or when a source of light is placed in a magnetic field, the line spectrum will be splits into number of spectral components or spectral lines. Okay, and here these spectral components are spectral lines. See, for when we keep the strong magnetic field, okay, this line spectrum will be split into three components in transverse view and two components in longitudinal view. See, here what is Zeeman effect? When a source of light is placed in a strong magnetic field, north pole and south pole. Okay, what happens? Whatever the spectral line emitted by this, okay, will be split into more than two components. Whatever the spectral components will be arranged in a same whatever the spectral components which are split, they will be in that original view, original component, okay, in the order of the original component. This is the original spectral line. Whatever the splitting of these spectral lines, okay, will be formed more than two components, okay, when it is placed in the magnetic field. That is Zeeman effect. In generally in the transverse view, the original line will be split into three components. In this is transverse view. When we see from upwards, okay, you will get three components. If you see longitudinal view in this direction, we will get two components. This is called what? Normal Zeeman effect. What is normal Zeeman effect? When a source of light is placed in a strong, magnetic field, okay, in the transverse view we have three spectral lines, okay. In the longitudinal view we have only two spectral lines. Nothing but what? The virginal spectral line will be split into three components, okay, in the transverse view, and the virginal component will be split into two components in the longitudinal view. When the source of light is placed in a strong magnetic field, that is normal Zeeman effect. That is normal Zeeman effect. Right? Normal Zeeman effect. When the source of light is placed in a weak magnetic field, what happens? The splitting of spectral lines will be more than three components. Okay, that is anomalous Zeeman effect. That is anomalous Zeeman effect. Right? So more than number of components. There is no limit. Okay? So there is no limit. That is nothing but what? Anomalous Zeeman effect. So anomalous Zeeman effect, when it happens, when the light is placed in a what? Weak magnetic field, the spectral lines will be split into more number of components rather than two or three components. Okay, that is called anomalous Zeeman effect. We can also explain. Okay, this is anomalous Zeeman effect. Next we have, in generally, Paschen back effect. We have Paschen back effect. What is this Paschen back effect? See, just now we said that when the light is placed in a what we can say magnetic field, in a weak magnetic field, the spectral line will be split into more than three components. When we increase the magnetic strength, when we increase the magnetic field, what happens? Whatever the anomalous Zeeman effect will be reduced to the normal Zeeman effect. That is called Paschen back effect. Okay. So in the weaker field of Zeeman effect, or in the weaker field, whatever the spectral line will be split into more than three components. When we increase the strength of that magnet, automatically whatever the anomalous Zeeman effect will be transmit into transfer into the what? Normal Zeeman effect. That is called Paschen back effect. Okay. Next we have, after this we have actually Stark effect. Okay. After so many years of discovery of what we can say Zeeman effect, the Stark effect will be discovered. Actually, it discovered. Right? So, what is Stark effect? The Stark effect is nothing but what? When the source of light is placed in an electric field, the spectral line will be splits into number of lines. That is nothing but what? Stark effect. Right? So, this Zeeman effect, Paschen back effect, and Stark effect, and also coupling schemes are very, very important for short answers. Okay? Either you may ask by combining all these short answers, okay, into one long answer. So, these are the important topics, right? Don't neglect this. Thank you.